Oh. Hey, welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, here live again, not quite as frequently as we would like, but that's kind of the nature of moving back and forth between places around the world. It kind of leaves life a little bit unstable. We're working on getting that taken care of. In the meantime, it is the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm assuming that a lot of you have been out at the store getting food items and that sort of thing ready to go. I have been doing the same. I have been part of that crowd and encountered, boy, what a crowd it was. It was kind of difficult getting some of the last minute things. But then again, my Thanksgiving meal is somewhat of a crazy thing as it is, being kind of this hybrid hashed together meal. I'm curious what all of you are planning on doing. I'm going to go over some of my plans, some of the crazy stuff that I'm planning on eating over the next, forever, however long this stuff lasts. You know how leftovers are. And also some of the crazy stuff we're hearing about in the news. Anyway, coming up in just a second, so stick around. Excuse me, one last swig of the coffee here to try and be awake at this hour. It's not actually that late. I think it's only about 9:30 here. It is, in fact, 9:34. As I'm saying this, late for my son. He's asleep. But it seems to have become late for me as well. I don't know. I guess I just haven't quite adjusted to being back and the difference in the time zone, so it's sometimes difficult. I go thinking, I'm going to do this show. I'm going to start doing this, get back in the habit of things. And then the next thing you know, I'm waking up in the next morning, usually quite early, as I often do, whether I stay up late or not. And I realize I didn't do the show. But we're working on that. My wife has been encouraging me that I should definitely be getting on here and doing this. And so here we are. And I see already some people in the chat. Glad to see, of course, Kelly's Corner, the Southern Boy Prepper, and everybody. Glad you guys are here. Hello, Jay. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Hey, I'm glad you guys are here. Mary Stevens, also glad to see you. Longtime viewer of these crazy videos of ours. Gives me chills hearing that music, lockdowns, etc. Thank you. Yeah. Speaking of lockdowns, I heard that there's a new sickness going around in China. I haven't heard anything directly from family in China, but I've been seeing things pop up on the internet here and there, which we can talk a little bit more about in just a bit. But hopefully these videos don't just scare people. Like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's the pandemic guy. Which if you have just tuned into this and caught this out of the middle of nowhere, I started off over there in China during the pandemic, so I imagine anyone who's been listening to the channel long enough associates us with everything pandemic and everything scary and unknown. It was quite an experience. I'm glad that I'm here now and not dead of whatever kind of disease happens to be out there. Let's hope that, I'll knock on wood and hope that doesn't jinx me in some way. Let's see. Luckily, Johnston. Hey, glad to see you here. Hello, welcome everyone, expats. Kelly's Corner, let's see. This new time is kicking my butt as well. Yeah. I need to get, it was easier. It's a real shame that I didn't get things going as well as I had hoped to while I was back in China. It just, it would have been so easy to do these. I could do a late night show in the morning, it would have been so easy to do if only the internet wasn't such a problem. Normally you would go to China as an expat or someone living over there. You could just get on a VPN or something and think, you're going to get on the internet. Well, that's fine and dandy, except that the VPNs tend to get blocked. Even if you're paying for a service that you think is pretty good, you get over there and the next thing you know, it's not working. And it just doesn't work for a week or so. And then you might get it to work sometimes, but it's just a matter of time before the Chinese government finds it out and shuts down the servers. Because, Now, if only I could get on a Chinese streaming thing and have it actually work in the United States where people would actually see it, then that would be perfectly fine. I'm sure they have their reasons for why they're blocking content. I'm sure all of you watching are probably thinking immediately like, well, of course, they don't want people to find information from the outside world. That may be, absolutely that is the case. But I think there's another side to that where they just don't want any of the craziness that's happening in the rest of the world finding its way into Chinese society. I mean, just look at how things have gone so crazy here in the United States, which I'm hearing right now that there's been, maybe that's old information. I heard there was an explosion on the border between the United States and Canada. I guess I'll have to watch that to see how that develops, if it was just somebody with a really crummy gas tank that sparked and exploded, or if it's something a little bit more nefarious. Some of the people on Twitter are saying that it is indeed a terrorist attack, but I have no idea. I hope not. Heaven forbid, the way that the country has been being run. Who knows what's going to happen, right? It could be total chaos, but let's hope not. Let's hope that this Thanksgiving we can just have a lot to be thankful for being here and enjoy the crazy meal that I have planned or that you may have planned at your home. The traditional thing, of course, is to have turkey, and my son insisted, of course, that we must have turkey, and I insist as well. So we have a great big turkey that I am going to be preparing tomorrow. I will be doing my best. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Probably too dry. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to find the best recipe that I can follow online, and hopefully it turns out okay. In addition to the turkey, however, there are a number of additional items, pork belly being one of them, Chinese style asparagus, and a number of other dishes that you probably are not normally familiar with when it comes to Thanksgiving. But at least we'll have the turkey and stuffing, and I did get a pumpkin pie, so we'll have that. It'll be somewhat normal as far as that. Of course, every Thanksgiving that I've had for going back who knows how long has been different than the traditional Thanksgiving, whatever that's supposed to be now. My son, of course, at his school has been learning all about the first Thanksgiving, however that was supposed to have gone down. He's been telling me all about the pilgrims and, turkeys and everything and Indians and such. But, of course, he's very careful to correct me and tell me, but those Indians are not the same as Indians. They're Native Americans. And okay, yes, I know. I don't know. There's been all of that going on. Lots of fun. And, of course, the chaos in the news, just watching all of that. Let's see, I see some more comments coming in here. Mutant Riff, there was a report of an Iranian passport being found, but no idea if true. Let's see, convert your son to having duck instead of turkey. You know what? That would be fantastic. If I could just figure out how to make Beijing roast duck, then we'd be set. That stuff is so delicious. But I imagine there's a lot more preparation that goes into it than what I am probably going to be able to do in the kitchen. I may have to get some additional cooking tools in order to make that one a possibility. But if I could do that, boy, that would be delicious. I don't think that, no, the local Chinese restaurant doesn't have duck. So that's out of the question. I don't know that there's anywhere nearby, probably within several hundred miles, that is capable of producing or preparing such a meal. But, if I can figure it out myself, that would be fantastic. I love cooking Chinese food when I can. Usually it's pretty simple. I mean, you chop up some stuff, have the right spices, and cook it in a wok. But some of the stuff that you would get at a restaurant in China, it takes a lot more preparation than I am able to do here at home. At least, I don't understand it, because I've been in China for, they'll have a festival of some kind of like our Thanksgiving, and they'll have all these dishes, and my mother-in-law will be preparing them, and I know they're not cooking them all at once, but somehow they manage to keep them hot. And I'm not entirely sure how they've managed to do that without it being terrible. Like me, I can cook some stuff and set it aside, maybe put a lid on it or something, and by the time the other food is prepared, the stuff is cold and terrible. Never do that with potatoes, by the way. Mashed potatoes, they're pretty terrible when they get cold, as it turns out. I'll have to figure that one out tomorrow. I'm going to be, just one stove and just one me. So we'll see how that goes. But I am planning to have quite the feast. I'll have to take some pictures and show you guys. I wonder, what does everybody else eat? What's something odd that other people would eat here in the United States for Thanksgiving? Like I said, with mine, it's going to have, rice, and it's going to have this pork belly stuff, which is absolutely delicious if anybody has ever had a chance to try it. Or if you find yourself in a position where you have the opportunity to try it, definitely go for it. It's probably not the most healthy thing in the world, but one of my favorite dishes that I have taken from China to the United States that I have kept with me. At least I do my best. I do my best to try and cook it. It's nothing like what my wife's aunt or anybody can make over there in China, but I do my best. And I think I do pretty good. But roast duck would be absolutely fantastic. Let's see. I'm making homemade Neapolitan. Hey, that sounds good. Pizza, real pizza. There you go. That's the way to go. I don't know. I've been wondering myself. What do different groups of people eat here in the United States? There's a lot of people with different ethnic backgrounds that live here in the United States, and I imagine that a lot of people have different choices when it comes to what they're going to eat. I just wonder myself now, if I were actually to visit a Chinese home here in the United States, and a Chinese American home, what would they be? Well, actually, I kind of have some idea of what they would be eating. Probably some of that roast duck. They'd probably do a lot better at making this stuff than I do. And they'd probably have a lot of the stuff that I'm familiar with back in China. Which, by the way, if you haven't heard about this, the food in China is very different from what you get at the restaurants here in the United States. General Tso's chicken is not a thing. There's no broccoli beef, or what are some of the other things that they have? You get on there and egg foo young and all this stuff that people normally order. Lo mein, that's one of my favorite. Lo mein, which properly pronounced is actually la mian, which would come in soup if you were to order that in China. If you told someone you wanted some la mian or lo mein, they would give you a bowl of noodles in soup. It doesn't come that way in the United States. It usually comes in some kind of oily sauce. Very different. Chow mein, I think I've seen several different varieties or versions of that here in the United States as I've been to Chinese restaurants. Chow mein, it should mean that it's fried noodles. So I'm not really sure why a lot of times when you order chow mein here in the United States, it comes in some kind of goop or sauce, usually clear, with chicken or something like that. But if you were to order that in China, it would be just noodles. It wouldn't have a bunch of goop on it. Maybe it's different in Hong Kong. I don't know. It could be very different in Hong Kong. But I don't think so. I understand that a lot of the dishes that we have here in the United States originated from the southern part of China. So they may be a little bit different than what I'm used to where I was living, but I don't think they're that different. I think they would be familiar with the same sorts of things, whether I was in Guangdong province or Beijing. Now, they do have some of the specialties, and I can just imagine if you were having Thanksgiving in Beijing, you might be having some very strange foods. Well, strange according to the normal Western type of diet. They would probably look at our stuff and think it's very strange. But I think that they would be all on board with the turkey idea, though they may use some different spices and cooking techniques. But I think that they would be all about that, all about the turkey. Stuffing, I don't know if they would be on board with that. They might look at that and think, oh, what is this? You're pulling a bunch of like bread stuff out of the inside of the turkey. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to eat that. Cranberry sauce, I think that they would probably have difficulty with that. Olives, I've never known Chinese people to really eat olives. Anything dairy related, they are not used to. They claim it has a very strong dairy flavor, whatever that's supposed to mean. But, let's see, Mutant Riff, Chinese food in the U.S. also use sugar and other things. Yes. Now, that is something that is common if you are in the southern part of China. For some reason, all of the dishes suddenly take on a sweet flavor. And so that is pretty normal that they would do that, but not quite to the extent of what we have, I always talk about General Tso's chicken. I that would be completely unrecognizable to anyone over there. They would, what is this? It's like it's chicken, but it's sweet, and this is really strange. Yeah, they would probably not recognize a lot of the dishes that we eat here on a regular basis as Chinese food. I've recommended in the past that people go and get familiar with some of the Chinese dishes, like the traditional stuff. But, the more I think about it, the more I see the wisdom in the changes that have been made to the dishes that are served to Americans. I'm not sure that the average American would find all of the Chinese food delicious at first. It might take some getting used to. Or if you were in a situation like when I was in, where you live there and, this is the food that is available and you might as well just eat it because otherwise you're not going to be eating. But I found that I enjoyed almost all of it. I think that dumplings, any sort of dumpling shop that opened up here in the United States would probably do well. That's pretty normal stuff. I think that people like to call them pot stickers here. They eat that for breakfast in China. It's not really a dinner thing, but the dumplings themselves, they eat them in so many different ways. Steamed, eat them in soup, all that sort of thing. They have these great big ones that they make. The worst, I think, as far as I'm concerned, I can eat it and I can tolerate it, but they take these chives and they chop them up and they make these dumplings with them, and I absolutely hate it. It turns your mouth green. It's not my favorite. Let's see. Mutant Riv, my grocery store is now carrying chicken feet for the Chinese folks. Yeah, I've noticed that popping up, even at Walmart. I mean, I saw it all the time at Walmart in China, but recently I've started to see it in some locations. Here in the United States, they have the chicken feet, which is a snack that a lot of Chinese people enjoy eating, if you're not familiar. They also can be prepared in many different ways. For a lot of kids, yes, and kids do like to eat these, they come in like a vacuum-packed thing. When our American kids go to the store and they're looking to get snacks, they're usually going for like the M&Ms or some kind of candy bar or cookies. In China, they might just as well go for the chicken feet, the shrink-wrapped spicy chicken feet. I'm sure that my wife is maybe even watching this right now, possibly, and thinking about that, like, that sounds delicious. I think I need to go get some right now. Oh, I think that I have overlooked something that I probably should have gotten for our Thanksgiving feast, some chicken feet to be prepared by my wife in the Chinese style, which is spicy and sour, at least from the part of China that she is from. Let me see, what else have we got here? Zombie Ned Flanders, happy Thanksgiving, Jay and everyone. Also, Zombie Ned Flanders, I'm the late Arthur Morgan. Hey, welcome. Glad to see you here. I remember. Different name. Cool. I like the name, by the way. Zombie Ned Flanders. That's one that I'm not sure if I'm glad that they haven't exported that to China or not. I'm not sure what Chinese people would make of it, but, I was watching it the other day. The old episodes. I haven't seen anything recent. And I just thought, when I was a kid, there were people that said, this is bad and people shouldn't watch it. And now I watch it and I think, boy, if only we could go back to those days when things were like that. So simple. Even watching The Simpsons, here's this dopey family with all kinds of problems. And you look at it and you think, boy, American society used to be so different than it is today. And you really reminisce about that. There's a lot of problems that have come up. I know this isn't probably the best time, but it's not Thanksgiving yet, so we can talk about some of the problems that we are not so thankful for as we go into the holiday so that we can remember our upbringing, perhaps, where we come from, and the strength that maybe it gives everyone so that we can work our way through the problems that are manifesting here at the moment. And maybe get back to an America that is a little more familiar. I think of the people that are coming out and just looking for things to be offended about. This started to be a problem a while ago. In fact, I think of it was all this stuff about social justice warriors. I don't know where it merged or it evolved into this woke stuff that we're dealing with now. But everyone who thinks that they don't have a place in this world or they're not accepted, That's never been true. There are always people who are, you know, maybe not accepting of other people and what they want to do with their lives, whether it be crazy seeming or not. But they've always had a place, and, it's a free country. I remember hearing that all the time. It was usually in conjunction with some kind of obnoxious statement, that you take offense to, but it's a free country. And I think that, there is a place for everyone, whatever they feel or whatever they want to be like. But there's a place literally for everyone. And that means the people that want to live the traditional American life, there's a place for that too. And I think that there is probably a lot of people out there who have been spooked by the crazy things that have been going on as of late, who would just like to get back to that normal America. And I would like to take the opportunity while I'm here talking on YouTube to some few people that, that America still exists. And even though social media would have you believe otherwise, it's still there just as strong as it always was. You're not alone. You're not isolated. They just want you to feel like you are. And remember that social media is a complete and total con. So when you see all this stuff being talked about, remember that it's all fake. I think that I can't remember what the percentage was, but I believe Elon Musk came out and said, that some ridiculous percentage of interactions that were taking place on Twitter were all fake. They were bot accounts. So they have all these people on there that kind of push the narrative and make it look like you're, in the small group, when in reality you're not. You're absolutely not. And there is some reason to hope, for what is to come, and hope for society that things can turn around. I've heard some interesting things about Gen Z, which a lot of the mistakes that have happened, I can remember the whole fiasco with Bud Light that happened. A lot of people want to point at the corporations themselves, but a lot of this has to do with what's being taught in marketing classes in universities. So they have these students that go through there, and they're being told that you've got to start shifting the company, and all of the marketing to what Gen Z is interested in. And they've been brainwashed into thinking that Gen Z is absolutely into all this woke stuff. And it turns out that that's not true at all. There's probably some that are, but apparently they are rejecting it. A lot of them, maybe a very large percentage of them, are rejecting it. And it shows in what has happened to companies like Bud Light and what is happening to Disney and some of the other companies. And it gives me some hope that maybe some of these people that have been through these marketing courses will wake up and realize, hey, maybe it's a good idea to do actual research instead of just believing what you've been told by your professors or what you see on social media. Maybe that's not a reliable source of information. And they'll go back to the old ways, and we'll see things turn around. And I've already seen signs that maybe some of it is turning around. We'll have to see what happens with that. Let's see. Mutant Riff. Argentina just elected a super conservative. Yes, I saw that. He's been being called their Donald Trump, essentially. And, if you look at the polls and you look at circumstantial things, like Donald Trump the other day went to New York City to go to the UFC event, and he was cheered, in New York City, which is supposed to be a bastion of all things wokeness. I know, but it isn't. It isn't. New York City, remember, is a very diverse city. I don't know how this image of New York being totally blue the way that it is, blue. It may be totally blue when it comes to voting Democrat. But when it comes to the woke stuff, I don't think that it's quite as universal over there as we've been led to believe. I just can't imagine that people living in New York are all on board with that stuff. I'm sure they can see the crazy stuff that's happening in the city and say, we don't, this is terrible. We don't really want this. I don't know how, who knows how the people win over there, but hopefully things can get turned around over there as well. Let's see, Zombie Ned Flanders, that's spot on reasons to be thankful. There's a lot of, you're right, I said that this was stuff that we would be complaining about, but actually there seems to be a lot of positive taking place. Let's see, Mutant Riff. YouTube just stuffed a commercial in the mode of live stream. That is bad. Yeah. They've changed, well, supposedly they've changed the way that advertisements are done on YouTube. You know, as a creator, I get all kinds of information from them here. Well, all kinds. Here and there, I get information about updating. They said something the other day about they were going to be updating the way that, I guess, advertisements are done, so that as a creator myself, I have fewer options when it comes to how that is going to happen. I just said, okay, and I guess they just serve up ads whenever they feel like. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt the live. I mean, it seems kind of strange to do it on a live stream. You'd think that this is where I think there should be maybe some more flexibility. I mean, if they told me, like, we're going to run ads, they should give me a heads up, right? I'm doing the live stream, maybe have something come up. They do it on television. Why not? You know, and then I could say, and we're going to take a little break, folks. And then run the advertisement instead of doing it the way that they're doing, so that people don't get, hey, I'm missing the show. What's going on? Not that you're not missing a whole lot here, but yeah, it would be nice if they did a little bit of that. But then again, you know, I guess they don't really trust the people, the creators that actually make YouTube what it is, to be able to do that. And you know, that's not necessarily saying that they're looking down on everybody. I think that they have to look at it, and they, you know, there are many different levels of talent. There are many different levels of skill, and you know, whether that, I'm not saying that nobody can. Certain people are not capable of doing it, but some people, you know, there's more experience than others, and they have to account for all of those. So I guess they just run ads whenever. I wonder what kind of ad it was. You know, they've got that situation with Twitter, where they're suing what is it, Media Matters, because they rigged the thing so that it would run advertisements along with some kind of hate stuff. I'd be asking them, hey, why are you following all that weird Nazi stuff anyway? But I guess nobody bothered to ask that question. Hey, why are you following that in the first place? You know, for the ad to pop up on that stuff and for you to know about it, you'd have to actually be following those people. What's going on here? But yeah. I'd be curious what kind of advertisements run on my channel. Who knows? Probably ridiculous ones. I remember one time I was watching, I think it was Tim Pool, and they had enhancement drugs come on as an advertisement. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube. I get a kick out of it. They'll have these drone advertisements, you know, like, this was made by the U.S. military. It's like, I don't think the U.S. military was using those drones. Maybe to do some surveillance. I don't know. I feel like some of the drones that they advertise, it's just kind of funny. A lot of the stuff that gets advertised on YouTube, by the way, be very careful about purchasing those products. Some of them are not what they appear, or the quality you will find is not. There's a lot of scams. So just be careful. I shouldn't say that. Now YouTube's going to get mad at me. They're going to say, oh, you're saying that we don't do any sort of, checking on that. They don't. You can run video ads of all kinds. And, it's a big platform. So a lot of stuff gets through the cracks. Let's see. Southland, glad to see you on YouTube. Happy Thanksgiving. Hi, expat from Andy Foxy. Hey, glad to see everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. All the way over there in Hong Kong. One of these days, I'm going to make it back over to Hong Kong. And we will meet for that beer, and it'll be awesome. I absolutely love that city. I haven't been back in so long. I was so close. I was in Guangzhou, when I went back to China, which in of itself was quite an experience. It was really good to be back. I've learned a lot from my experiences over there in China as of late. I learned a little bit about Xi Jinping that has actually led me to question a lot of what we see on the internet, a lot of the message that comes out of the Western media. I'm not saying that the Chinese news is something you can trust either, but certainly when it comes to Xi Jinping and what he actually stands for, I just find myself questioning it a little bit. I read this article. It turns out that way back in the 80s, Xi Jinping, the current leader of China, came to visit the United States, and they were talking about how he had stayed in, he went to visit Iowa, and he stayed in this family's home. even, to the point of sleeping in their kid's room and, all this stuff, and going around talking about how he liked Mark Twain and he wanted to see the Mississippi River. And I didn't know that he had all of that experience with coming to the United States. It all came about, I guess, this article, because the family that he had met up with, he was inviting them, when he came to California, which I'm sure some of you probably saw the videos of his meeting with Joe Biden, which I have a lot to say about here in just a second. But he invited them to go to a meeting, and it just had me thinking, how much of what is going on in China do we really understand? I mean, when we see things happening here in the United States, we can clearly see the fight between two political factions. But in the Chinese system, we don't really see all of that because there's just one political party. And we forget that there's probably a lot of infighting taking place. Some of the things that are happening, who knows what's really going on? Is Xi Jinping really the big enemy that we think that he is? Maybe he understands Americans better than we think. Maybe he's actually a leader in China that has a better understanding and might actually be a better advocate for good relations with the United States than some of his predecessors may have been. But I don't know, because I've never actually met the man. But who really knows? He certainly has plenty of reason to dislike the Communist Party, at least the old Communist Party, having been purged in the past and even forced to live in a cave. I found that very interesting. But yeah, I see Zombie Ned Flanders. I got an ad for Temu. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Temu, there's a lot of stuff being made in China right now that can't be sold, or there are barriers to what used to be the normal business stuff that's been going on. So some of the factories are selling directly on Amazon and different places. Temu is one of those. I see all kinds of stuff on there that I used to see in China all the time. It looks really amazing in the advertisements, but if you actually got some of the stuff, it would probably break instantly. I think it's just, Wish.com, I think they had. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that people have in China, and the Chinese people have enough sense to buy the stuff that actually works instead of the junk. They'll sell that to us on eBay or something. Let's see, Mutant Riff. I heard a report this week that they have discovered Chinese military personnel running a legal pot farm in Maine. It wouldn't surprise me. It's important to understand the complex nature of things within the Chinese Communist Party. I highly doubt that Xi Jinping has sent Chinese military personnel to the United States to run pot farms, but somebody else might be interested in that sort of corruption and would probably do it. You never know. It's a big country with a lot of people. The Communist Party is a very, very large political organization, and there's all kinds of people in it. So you never know. It wouldn't surprise me. It's a little bit strange to think of, the Chinese military people running a pot farm. But, stranger things have happened, right? Who really knows? I'll have to look into that. That sounds interesting for reading material, something that doesn't usually come across my vision here. But yes, getting back to that meeting with Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, wow, I don't know if anybody else noticed it. It was like Xi Jinping gave this big thing about, we can be cooperating, we can, work together. Maybe we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we can, work with the things that we see eye to eye on. And it got to be Joe Biden's turn at the table, and he says, thank you. And then he just went blank, and it was like everybody reacted really, really fast. I can't remember exactly what he was saying, but it was a bunch of weird stuff that just... Oh, that was the first thing I noticed, that I thought, we're in trouble here. Xi Jinping had picked up his papers and shuffled his papers, and I started to notice Joe Biden just start to copy everything that he was doing. So he picks up his papers. Xi Jinping is reading, his notes because he's giving kind of a speech in a way, making sure that he gets all the points, and he's, kind of turning the pages in his notes. And the nenext thing I know, I see Joe Biden turning pages in a notebook for some reason. It's like, oh no, we're in trouble here. His brain broke again. and he's just copying what he sees. He's just, oh, I don't know what to do. I better just do what the other guy is doing. And he basically said thank you, and then he had this really weird look on his face, and that was it. That was the end of the meeting. And I just remember thinking, what in the world, what just happened here? We're in big trouble with this kind of leadership. I understand that changes must be coming very soon with the election next year and everything. Is it coming soon enough? I don't know. I saw a post on Twitter where somebody was saying something about Joe Biden and, he can get voted for. And it's like, I don't know if I just don't know if he's going to make it to that point. And I also was wondering when I saw those meetings, what do these foreign leaders think? I mean, are they made aware? Do they know that this is going on? They must have some idea that, the president is very old. But I wonder what they're thinking when they go into these meetings and all of a sudden the president's face goes all weird and he just all of his people rush in to take over. It's like, what just happened? I'm trying to have a serious, conversation with someone to avoid World War III or whatever it is that's happening here. And all of a sudden my adversary just had a really weird reaction. And I don't know if he got the message. I don't know if anybody got the message. I don't know who's in charge. I don't know, should I be addressing this to someone else? What do we do here? Or does the United States government actually, brief them ahead of time what to expect and what to do to the point where it's literally just pageantry? And then they're actually having conversations with other government officials in the background. Who really knows? Let's see, Mutant Riff. I think Gavin Newsom will run for Feinstein's Senate position instead of running for POTUS. Yeah, I think he would have a hard time winning. I can't imagine the rest of the country looking at what is going on in California and saying, we'd really like that for the rest of us too. But stranger things have happened. I mean, he's got pretty nice hair, he's got style to him. Maybe he could get up there and convince a lot of people. I don't think so. I think that the best bet as of right now is probably Donald Trump, which is an unpopular opinion perhaps, but maybe it's not. I don't know. If you follow social media, you probably think that that's very unpopular, but I think that he's more popular than social media would suggest, and I'm going to stick with that. I think there's a very good possibility of the second term for Donald Trump come 2024. We'll see where that goes. Or if it's going to be one of the other people. Probably not. They had the presidential debates. I know Vivek Ramaswamy keeps getting up there and mopping the floor with these goofball Republicans that they keep putting up there. They still want to spout the same old stuff about we need to go to war. I'm not sure exactly. I know I'm not quoting them exactly, but a lot of people get upset and they say, how can they be so out of touch? How can they be so out of touch with the rest of the country that they get up there and think that that's the message that's going to get them in? And the truth is they're not out of touch. It's just that they're not talking to you. They really don't care what the regular old American thinks. That's not their audience. Their audience is the real people that matter to them, the people with big money. And so that's the message that they're going to give as opposed to a populist one. So just keep that in mind if you are one of those who get upset when you hear that. There's no reason to be there is reason to be upset. Just they're not as stupid as they seem. They're just evil. That's all. They just don't care about the regular old American people or democracy or any of that. Boy, I still see that going on. We need to protect democracy. If you vote for anyone except for my person, then you're, a threat to democracy as we know it. It's like, boy, I don't know much about democracy, I think, because I kind of thought that, we're supposed to think about things and vote your conscience, right? Us being the people, I thought that we're supposed to be the ones making the decision. And if the majority of people make a decision, then that's democracy. And to do anything otherwise would be definitely a threat to democracy. Well, let me see. Mutant Riff again. The left is irate that Univision had the 3-hour coverage of a Trump event. Yeah, of course they would be. Of course. We can't be having Donald. I mean, he's the biggest threat to all of humanity. Actually, he's not. I think that Macron over there in France actually had it right when he said that this woke stuff coming out of the United States is a threat to Western civilization as we know it and must be stopped. Well, I'm not sure that he said those exact words, but he did say that it was a threat to Western civilization. And we do need to stop it here. I don't know how it kind of came out of here, but it is definitely a threat to civilization. Anyone who's familiar with the history in China, with the Cultural Revolution, would recognize what is taking place here. Somebody's trying to have a cultural revolution here in the United States to destroy everything that we know and I guess start something else. I'm not exactly sure what their end goal is there, but certainly to take down this country as it has been. And personally, I'd like it to go back to being, well, in a way, I'd like it to go back. I mean, back to being really free, you know, I'd really just like to have some freedom and be able to do things to, better myself. The pursuit of happiness, I guess. I'd sure like to have the freedom to go pursue some of that happiness. Even if I don't find it, I'd like to have the freedom to go and find my own way at the very least. And that just doesn't seem to be easy to do these days. Well, let me see. Savage Airguns. Hello, everyone. We are seeing what killed Rome from within for sure. Yeah, Rome suffered from a lot of corruption. And, well, they had a bunch of civil wars. I'm not sure how much, if you really study the history, their problems, you look at a place like London, right, or anywhere over in the UK where the Romans were at, or in Europe, and you think, like, what happened? They all just pulled out one day and it all just fell apart. Well, the reason that they pulled the legions out of the rest of Europe was they kept having these civil wars over and over and over again, and there was no one left to defend the empire, and then it got overran. It's corruption. I'm sure that the regular people were not so interested in the civil wars and who was going to be in charge and all that, but they certainly suffered the consequences, and we are suffering the consequences of the chaos that has been brought upon us here in this country as well. The corruption that we've been dealing with. I hope that we can deal with that corruption and it doesn't lead to the same sort of collapse that we saw with the Romans many thousands of years ago. Well, okay, maybe a couple thousand years ago. Less than 2,000 years ago. We'll get a little more precise here, but we have to be careful even with our own society. It's hard for people to recognize or to, comprehend that even your society, even your civilization could fall. I'm sure that the Romans never imagined that their civilization would fall. I'm sure that the Egyptians never imagined that their civilization would fall. But it did a long time ago, and it's been long gone. I'm sure that they saw themselves as being at the peak. We would think, with our modern technology and our knowledge and science and all of this, our advanced culture, it could never happen to us. But it certainly could. It certainly could. And it will if, we continue down the path that we're on. I don't know. There's certainly plenty of places that are looking to take our spot. Maybe China even, could be one of them. Although it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for them to do that. But you never know. I guess that could be the case. And they might not have to do anything to overthrow us. We might do it ourselves. We are our own worst enemy. Oh, let me see. What are we looking at? 10:06. My goodness, I went much longer than I was expecting to go on here. I'm afraid, this equipment that I'm working with, I have my camera here, and I had purchased a dummy battery to keep the thing charged so it wouldn't die in the middle of doing the live stream. And, well, part of it is missing. I don't know if it's in France or if it's in China, but it's certainly not here in the United States. So I have limited battery power at the moment. And I would rather this on my own than have the camera just go blank and just be a face with a black screen. So maybe we'll go ahead and end this here. It's been an interesting conversation. As always, I am looking forward to Thanksgiving. Tomorrow I'm going to be cooking all day, the best that I can. I don't know how the food, like I said, I'll take some pictures and I will post them so that everyone can see, if you're interested, what it is exactly that I managed to put together in the end. I am not a chef by any means. I would love to see anything that anybody else has. If I don't know how you would share that, though. But if you know how, I guess I have an email address that you can send. Don't send good pics. Don't send any bad pictures or anything. But theamericanexpat76@gmail.com, I believe it is. theamericanexpat76@gmail.com. I'd be happy to share some of those if you want them to be shared. Next time we get on here and do a live stream, it'd be kind of fun to see how everybody's Thanksgivings went. And with that, I guess I'll go ahead and end this. So we will see you guys in the next one, maybe even tomorrow, if I can. Hey, the mouse disappeared. I can't end the show because the mouse is gone. Well, we'll just continue talking. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on with the computer now. Something fishy is happening now. I am completely without a mouse. And if this was a... well, interesting. I still have no mouse. Well, I am being forced to continue the show, so that's fun. Oh, you know what? I figured it out. The mouse is behind me. I got it back. Okay. Now I can properly end the show. Well, that's crazy. How embarrassing. On my own show, I lost control of what was happening. Anyway, I'll go ahead and end it there. We'll see you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you in the next one.